Miser here, otherwise known as Kimball. Today's video I want to talk about continual learning. My day job, I'm a software engineer and network administrator. And when I was going through my last couple of years up at university, yes, I watched way too many British shows. Sorry for those Americans up at a university. One of my instructors, my lead instructors, said if you're not willing to continue to learn every day in this field, you're in the wrong field. It moves too fast, you'll get left behind quickly. And that was really evidenced. One job I had, a good friend of my team, I'd gotten let go from the company, and a few months later he was very unexpectedly let go during a corporate restructuring, and he admitted he figured he was going to retire there. Spend another 15 years just building web app or Windows apps for an internal system they had there, and that'd be it. And so he hadn't kept up on his skills, especially things were moving more and more to the web. And when he was let go unexpectedly, it took him a good 6 months to find a job again. By the time he did, especially where we're at, we're not a heavy technical area like Seattle or something like that. He ended up going into network administration and support rather than software engineering. He was very thankful for the job, but he openly admitted that his problem was that he hadn't kept up his skills. He hadn't kept up learning new skills and was left behind. And I've found that any endeavor you're going to be involved with, you've got to continue to learn. And I've always had an interest in it and a desire on the entrepreneurial side of things. And the mentor that challenged me to do this series of videos is from the entrepreneurial input that I get. And so I want to share with you several books that I have been introduced to over the years as I've studied entrepreneurship. The very first one I think everybody should read is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This was This was written back in 1937 as America was going through the Great Depression, and talks about people that have been very successful up to that point, where Napoleon Hill had spent years interviewing the biggest leaders and most successful entrepreneurs of that time, and what made them work. What was a commonality? One part that I took away from this, and I'll do a separate video just on, is the concept of mentorship. And you're not often in a position to get one-on-one mentorship in the direction you want to go to, or with people you think that would help you find success, especially in entrepreneurship. I don't think that I'm going to be having a sit down with Elon Musk anytime soon. Aside from the fact that I'm not near that level of success. But the book does teach you how to use mentors that you may not necessarily ever meet one-on-one, but you can read from and learn from. Especially today with YouTube, I've got lots of people that I consider mentors that I've never met, but I watch their content and the people that have proven tracks of success. And I'll do another video later on that. Another really great book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And this really gets into the mindset of being an entrepreneur and not relying on a government job or a corporate job to help you succeed. I've accepted back when I was in high school that the government would not be there, it would not be sustainable for retirement. Social Security was never meant to be a retirement program, but that I knew it would be insolvent by the time I hit retirement. And I knew I always needed to be able to fend for myself. And even as I've worked these corporate jobs, I've had my own retirement separate from what the corporate offers, to be able to position myself so I'm not reliant on any group that I don't control. I also really like another book by Robert. He's got four that he really pushes, but the second one I really like is Rich Dad's Cashflow Quadrant. He talks about the different ways to earn money passively and actively, and how to transition from one to the other. And at this point, I probably hit 3 of those areas. Another really great book that I like is that I was introduced to at a previous job. That they got big into having. It was a company that I joined on as a startup, and was there through some significant growth. I was a third engineer, and by the time we split ways, the company was up to 150 employees with presences offices in Europe and in Asia Pacific. Tremendous growth there, and so this was part of the mindset that they were creating in the culture that. And I didn't like all the culture there. I'm not a big corporate guy, but I understood the need for it. And there is portions of it that I gleaned from that I see as very, very instrumental in creating success in my own stuff that I'm creating now. So one of those is leadership and self-deception, getting out of the box by the Arbinger Institute. The founder of the company that hired me, he was a bit of a jerk. I'm just going to say it. Not my favorite guy. But he openly admitted that reading this book saved his marriage because he was at times a bit frustrating to work with. But this gave him a mindset of working with others and accepting the inputs of others and being more collaborative. And if you're going to build any kind of company, it really is some important concepts. In fact, I'm playing in another video that talking about recognizing your own weaknesses, and if you're going to build a company, hiring the areas that you're weak on. Another really great book that they had us read, because the founder eventually stepped back and someone else took over as CEO that had come from the sales world, technical sales, but he was still and the company became very heavy into sales, which was part of the success that they had. And continue to have. And he had the entire company, shortly before I left, read the story, Building a Better Story Brand, clarifying your message so customers will listen. And actually did it by Donald Miller. And they ran an internal competition between all the departments to see who could come up with the best elevator pitch. 30-second pitch you give to someone in an elevator about your company. It was a bit odd having engineers do it, I thought, but at the same time, it was a big part of getting everybody to always be focused on what the core of the company is and being able to talk about it and be willing to talk about it, especially even as engineers, we get sent off to different conferences and whatnot. Being shrewd in that environment, and the company was very sales heavy, and so there was obvious advantage there on that side of it. But it was very unique for me, coming from the engineering side, to be involved in the sales side of it. And if you're ever going to build anything, any kind of company, you've got to learn at least some basic sales skills. And I suck at it. I do. But I at least can recognize where I'm weak on that, and something I'm continuing to try and build up my repertoire on. Another great book they had us read there was Extreme Ownership by Jocko, Willink, and Leif Babin. This book talks about skills that were learned from ex-Navy SEALs during the Iraq invasion and how that translates over into business, with knowing every aspect of the business, knowing how everything operates, and being ready and willing to step up at a moment's notice to make the mission successful, whether that's business or for them when they're in the field on the ground there. Admittedly, I have always been a bit fascinated by military. I damaged myself too young to be available for military service, but I've always respected greatly what our veterans have done and what has been learned. And I even talk about the skills that were learned during World War II and then later during Vietnam, because of these gaps where there were no heavy wars. This knowledge would be lost, and so the military had started a program to make sure that the skills were being passed on correctly, so that they weren't having to retrain from the ground up their leadership side of things between major conflicts. And it translates extremely well to business, and it's really, really great reading. Because I am doing this more of a from the business side, entrepreneurial side, I do have affiliate links downstairs. At the bottom, I'm doing great today. At the bottom of this video for each of these books, you don't have to use my links. If you do, I can make a tiny bit of money from it, whatever. But that way you can at least see the specific books I'm talking about, and you can get recommendations for other books as well. Again, it's important to continue, always be learning, always be finding out something new. Otherwise, you stagnate. If you don't use your mind, if you don't try and stress your mind, you lose that ability to learn and to think quickly, to be able to shift on your feet, especially when you get into business and have to deal with changes in the market, changes with your customers. You always got to have that entrepreneurial mindset, whether you actually own a business or not. I believe that very strongly. And with all the normal stuff, if you like this, the thumbs up, the subscribe button, notifications, all that good stuff. Again, you can see how heavy I am on that. But anyway, that's all I've got for you for today. Have a good one.